Welcome to another episode of Spice Kitchen with your host, Chef Shakayla. And in today's video, I will be talking about all my best tips for growing a culinary herb garden. So if you want to talk plants, you want to talk herbs, growing veggies, this is the right video for you today. So let's get into it. Okay, so my first tip for starting your culinary herb garden is take inventory. What's already in your cabinet, what's in your spice cabinets, what are the herbs you really enjoy using in your cooking, your family recipes. These are the things you want to start writing down. Write down those herbs because these are the seeds we're going to look for and purchase. So tip number 2 is research. Figure out how long does it take for these types of herbs and seeds to grow indoors. Do you have the right growing conditions on the inside of your house? Do you require to have grow lights? Do you have enough lighting in your home? Do you have enough lighting when you get tons of sunlight? These are things, and is your home warm enough? These are the things you need to start figuring out and researching. This is a very basic step that I took in the beginning of my journey last year when I started my spring and summer gardens. Very, very basic. Gardening can be super complicated, but when you start at this base level with my 9 tips, tip number 1, tip number 2, you're gonna make it easier for yourself. Tip number 3, create a crop planning list, chart, document that lists all the information that you're finding. So what you want to do in this crop planning list is figure out how long will it take for these herbs to grow, when you should start growing them, and start Googling. What you can do is Google what is your garden zone. Like I'm in 9B, I believe, since I'm located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I could definitely be wrong, but I think I am correct. All you need to do is go to Google and type in what's my garden zone, put in your zip code. It'll tell you right off rip. Google is amazing. So with that being said, you want to take that garden zone, Google when is my frost date, when is my spring date, when should I start planting for spring. Those are the things you want to start Googling and information you should start putting in your crop planning list. So I'm going to give you an example of what I use. I have a Google Sheets document that I use as my crop planning list. Super basic, but you can use it as a template for your journey. Tip number 4. Now that you have all that good, useful information on what you want to grow, how long it will take to grow, now if you're starting from ground zero, I'm just going to give you a list of places what you should get. If you are starting at ground zero, the dollar store is fantastic, especially during this time right now. Right now is when you want to start running into your local dollar store, your Dollar General, or whatever dollar 5 and dime stores you have in your area. I'm located here in North Carolina, so we are plentiful with dollar stores. And around this time, February and going into the spring, you're gonna find your starter mix fantastic. Don't sleep on dollar store starter mix when it comes to your soil. It's amazing, and it's $1. You can also get seeds from the dollar store. I would say my tip is to go to an area, a dollar store that is in an area that has, people have money. I just have to say that. Because normally when the stores are in the hood, and it's unfortunate that I have to say that, they don't replenish their stock as often. But areas where people are affluent, they definitely have higher turnaround when it comes to certain products. So 9 times out of 10, the seeds that they're putting out are new seeds that are not stale, they're not old. So you can get your seeds from the dollar store. You can also get your start trays. I did not purchase this at a dollar store. I actually purchased this one right here, the 72 cell from a Dollar General here in North Carolina, and it was $5 for a 72 cell starter tray. This is Burpee. I got this online from Amazon. It was like $8 or $10, but it's like a 50 something cell start tray. But go to the dollar store. The dollar store also has the starter trays as well. I'm not sure if they have the 72 cell at like a Dollar Tree or a Family Dollar, but definitely purchase your starter trays there. And one thing you will not be able to find at a dollar store, and if you do, I want to know where you at so I can pull up on you, will be grow lights. I purchased my grow lights for my starts on Amazon. all less than $30, which is fantastic. You will find a variety of grow lights, and they're super cheap, super effective. I grew these trays right under those grow lights from Amazon, and I'm very happy. Very great quality. Some of my favorite locations to purchase seeds would be local plant nurseries, mom and pop nurseries here in town, because I know that the seeds are organic, they're great quality, they were stored properly. I also love So True Seed, and I will put all these links down below. They're based here in North Carolina, Asheville to be exact. I also love a new brand that I've been trying is Botanical Interest. I really love them because the growth rate of those seeds are fantastic. The seed tray that I just showed you, I started this probably a couple of weeks ago, and right at the 1 week mark, I was already beginning to get buds. So I already know that they're a great brand to purchase from. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is kind of like tip number 2 where we talked about research. But it's so important for you to start doing research on how much water your seeds are going to need, how often you should water them. One tip that I would say is get in the habit of putting your finger in the soil, the starter mix, to see, are my seeds dry? Are my seeds moist? Are they just right? Because if they're dry, they're not going to be able to germinate. That defeats the purpose. They need to be moist. Your soil needs to be continually moist, but not sopping wet. If they are sopping wet, your seedlings have a potential to become sickly. They can grow mold, which is no good. Mold won't kill your plants, but it's if we can control that not to happen, let's not make it happen. I actually did experience some mold with this tray right here. So right now I put some antiseptic, which is like cinnamon, which is a natural organic antiseptic, which is helping with the mold growth, because I did have a humidity dome over it to help, because you want great humidity, you want heat for your seeds, you want constant moisture, and that's what the humidity dome is great for. But I just went ahead and took that off so I can just get rid of that mold. We don't want any of that. But start researching how much water do your herbs and your seeds like to get. A rule of thumb, consistent moisture is always great. Tip number 6, which is the most underrated tip ever. And I don't hear a lot of people who like to garden, professional gardeners, share this. But keep track of your plant's progress in a plant journal. Buy one from the dollar store. It can be a little one, it can be a big one, that you can start to track the process week by week, the growth progress week by week, day by day, month by month. What are you encountering? What are some things that you're having to overcome? What are some great things that you've been doing to help encourage your seeds to grow? What things will you do next season of growing? What won't you do, or what won't you grow next time? A very great way you can have your own archives, your own information, your own plant history that you're writing, that you can reflect on and read back on to see where you were, what you were doing, what encouraged you, what kind of obstacles were you facing, what were some great things that you were experiencing, what do you want to do again, what don't you want to do again? See how great a journal can be? Tip number 7, pump your brakes. I know that you're super excited when you see that your plants are looking good like this, but there are some things you must consider. Like right now, if I put my little plants outside, they're gonna die because it's not warm enough. It's not consistently 67 degrees and up here in North Carolina just yet. We still are having some frost, cold and really cold and rainy weather. Cold and rainy is fantastic, but cold and rain, my plants won't survive. And they're also still babies. You want to remember that these are still babies, and it's very important that when they're at this stage, especially my basil, you want to make sure that you are babying them every step of the way, taking time to spritz them, taking time to make sure they have enough, that you're adjusting your grow lights. Take the time to, is there anything in the soil, anything funky in the soil mix? Is it any mold? Check your plants. You're supposed to be babying them. So pump your brakes. You want to make sure that you have consistent warm weather. You want to make sure that, I want you to research a method called hardening off. Long story short, hardening off means you are integrating your plants that you started inside to outdoor weather, so they can start to sustain different kind of wind conditions, the weather, the heat, if there's any humidity where you are. And what you want to do, you want to start off slow. I like to start off maybe 30 minutes outside when the weather permits to an hour the next day, because I am here in North Carolina and the summertime can be super hot. It can be super hot in North Carolina, so I make up my own timing intervals so I know that my plants are going to be protected, that they're going to be successful when I'm hardening them off, when I'm basically getting them acclimated to outside weather, outside conditions, because when they're inside with me, I baby them. Mother Nature is not that kind. All right, so boom, here is my 8th tip. We have one more tip left, one more. My 8th tip is figure out where are you going to place your culinary herb garden? Where do you want it to go? So here is tip number 8. We have one more tip, just one more tip. My 8th tip is figure out where do you want to start this culinary herb garden. I have multiple locations that I garden in. I have a greenhouse in my backyard. My kitchen is actually right outside into the backyard, which is awesome because I can always see what's happening. So I have a greenhouse, I have a raised bed, which is a raised level above ground that I actually plant, like a planter box that I plant in. I also have tons of pots and tons of all kinds of stuff to grow in. Pots and long kind of flower boxes. I will have a flower box that I will actually be placing on the railing right outside of my kitchen so I don't have to walk as far. I am pregnant, so I want to make sure that I have a culinary herb box that's right here, right by my kitchen that I can go harvest from quickly when I'm cooking, when I need to dry herbs for different kind of spice orders. So I have it right there. So think about location. Location, location, location. Location is everything. So not only do you want to find a location that's convenient for you to travel to, so you can also make sure that things are looking great, that there aren't any pests, that there aren't any animals eating your stuff. You also want to make sure that it gets adequate sunlight. Adequate sunlight. And one thing I want you to research and understand, how much light do your herbs that you want to grow, how much light do they want? How much light do they need? Are they not a big fan of light? Figure all that out as well so you can have a successful herb garden. And my 9th and final tip is have fun. Have fun. There's going to be a lot of trial and error when it comes to growing from seed. When it comes to cultivating a garden, you're not going to get it right the first time. I don't get it right all the time. I've had my own troubles when it comes to my garden last year, but that's why I have my garden journal, so I can reflect on what were the processes I took to get rid of pests. What did I do when it came to harvesting? How do I make sure that I continue to get a harvest? Those are things you want to start documenting. Be your own historian. Be your own plant and garden historian. So you don't have to be always, it's great, Google is fantastic, but if these are things that you continue to encounter, why not have the advice right there, right in your notebook? So I hope this video has been super helpful. I wanted to give you 9 of my best tips that were very top level. I didn't want to get too complicated because number 1, I'm still learning through my own process. And number 2, I want to encourage you to go outside. I want to encourage you to get back into nature. I don't want to overcomplicate anything. But if you have questions and comments, or you just need some more advice, leave me a comment. Leave your girl a comment so I can respond to you. I love seeing comments because it makes me feel happy that we have that interactive, engaging type of community. Well, I will see y'all in the next video. I can't wait to see what you're growing. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram at The Power Plate. I'll have all that below. That's where I do all of my spices, my musing, recipes, more recipes, all kind of good stuff. I can't wait to see y'all. I can't wait to communicate with you. See y'all in the next video.